Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vivian. I am a relationship coach and I'm also a doctor specialized in mental health. And what I do is I help you heal from recent or past relationship heartbreak, separation, or divorce. I help you rediscover who you are outside of a relationship and help you find love again. So if this is you, I want to welcome you into my channel. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that will help you if you find yourself in any one of those categories that I talked about earlier. So what we're going to be talking about are attachment styles. And attachment styles are so important to know because it helps you identify what you are attracted to, who you are. It helps you identify who your partner is and why they do certain things that they do. So attachment styles are things that are developed from when we are children. So it's not something that we just pick up as an adult, but it's actually engraved in us based off of our experiences with our guardianships, whether that's a parent, a mom, a dad, a grandmother, the siblings who we had around, and how we kind of interacted with them, how we received love, showed love, how we were validated or not validated. So those things end up now leading us to what we have as the four different attachment styles. So the first one is the secure attachment. So are you a secure attachment person? And now the second one is anxious attachment. So you can have someone who is an anxious attachment style. And the third one is dismissive avoidant. So you or your partner could be dismissive avoidant. And then the last one is fearful avoidant. So all of these stem from things that we experience as childhood unknowingly, and we don't see them as children until we become an adult. And now we're trying to have relationships, and those different attachment styles now start becoming an issue, or it's a good thing, depending on which one that you have. So knowing the attachment style you have will help your relationship. It'll help you identify what kind of relationship you should be in and what you should not be in. So we're going to dive in and start with the first attachment style that we'll be talking about today. So with dismissive avoidant attachment, that's the first one we're going to be talking about today, dismissive avoidant attachment style. So with this one, how does it start? You may be wondering, like, where does our attachment style come from? So like we talked about earlier, it starts from childhood. So with this one in particular, we see it happen when you are in a guardianship where your parent, your mom or your dad are in your life, but for some reason it's hard for you to have an intimate relationship with them. Maybe you yearn to have validation, you want to be loved, you seek to get their approval from certain things, but they kind of shut you down. They don't have time for you. Maybe they're too busy with work. Maybe you had a parent who was into alcohol or drugs and they didn't have that time to create a space for you where you felt loved, where you felt heard, where you felt validated. Or maybe when you would bring things up, you felt like you were shut down and you now avoid confrontation. So because you were either shut down, your emotions were suppressed, not validated, you didn't have a loving space to express your thoughts, your feelings, and what was going on, you now avoid those situations. Now imagine a child who wants to go to their mom or their dad to tell them about something that happened in school. Maybe they were bullied, right? Maybe that was you. So you want to have this conversation, but there's not an opportunity to have the conversation. Or not say you do have that conversation, you were shut down and told to just man up, or or to say it's not a big deal, and that's kind of pushed under the rugs because they expect you to be okay and they don't validate your feelings. So when that happens repetitively in different ways, you will avoid certain situations that requires you to be vulnerable, to express your thoughts, to express your feelings. And because you lacked, whether that's receiving a hug or the I love you from a parent, it's hard for you to have those things in a partnership, and now you avoid those things. And if this is you, if this sounds like you, I want you to know that it is not your fault. It is not your fault at all. So like what I just talked about, it's something that happened from childhood. You cannot blame yourself from what happened back then because you were a child, right? You were a child and the adults in your life at that time did not know how to show you love, did not know how to validate your thoughts. They were not present to really help groom you to be okay with accepting love, to be okay with expressing your thoughts. So it is not your fault. I just want you to know that, you know? So don't take it upon yourself to feel shame or to feel guilt or to feel like there's something wrong with you, because that was not your doing at all. Okay? So I just want to start with anybody who is going through that. It's not your fault and it's not something you put on yourself, but rather it's happened to be the circumstances you were in as a child that has groomed you to be in this place where you're at right now. So now what tends to happen if you do have this attachment style is that when you are in relationship, it's hard for you to, whether it's receive intimacy, it's hard for you to be emotionally available for your partner. Those things scare you. You don't like confrontation. So because those things were, suppressed as a child, it's now being expressed in an intimate setting that requires you to be vulnerable, and it's hard for you to have those emotions, those feelings, have those tough conversations because it's uncomfortable. You've been taught to run away from those conversations. You've been taught that when you have those conversations, it goes nowhere and you're actually shunned when you have those. So now you do that in your relationship with your partner. Now, if this is you, the first thing is recognizing that you have this attachment style, right? So you can still have a healthy and fruitful relationship if A, you know that you have this attachment style. And once you recognize you have that attachment style, it's now working through those things and identifying why you feel the way you're feeling. It's a trauma experience that you have gone through. Because it's a traumatic experience, it'll be triggered from different things. So your partner may unknowingly do things that now triggers you to feel afraid, or triggers you to kind of shield yourself where you're not intimate, you're not physical touch, you're not wanting to address certain things that come up in your relationship. So know that you have this attachment style, and it's time to start healing. Heal your heart. And that's a journey. Heal the fact that you didn't feel loved, maybe you were a child. Heal the fact that you felt like you weren't heard as a child. And to forgive yourself, forgive a family member, forgive the people who weren't there. And I know forgiveness is such a hard thing to do. And I know it sounds cliche to say that you're doing it for yourself and not for them, but honestly, that is the truth. You're doing it for yourself in order to let it go. So knowing that you have this attachment style is the first step to healing, to letting it go and to start working on it. And then thirdly, you have to be intentional. Intentional, so meaning you know what triggers you. Is it the aspect of bringing up something tough? Is it a conversation that you know that it's hard for you to have, so you avoid those conversations? So know what triggers you to avoid, whether it's intimacy, being emotionally available with your partner, because once you know those triggers, you can now bring it up with your partner, share that, and you guys can both start working on it, or you can get the external support you need to start processing those triggers. So A, know that you have this attachment style. Start healing, right? Healing your heart, yourself, forgiving where it needs to be forgiven. And then thirdly, identify your triggers. Know what triggers you to feel like you want to run away or to escape, because no one else can help you with this until you desire to help yourself first. So you have to be willing to recognize that and be willing to be ready to work on it too, and know that it's a journey, and give yourself that grace. So now let's say that you're someone who is in a partnership with this person, right? So you are the partner with someone who has this avoidant, dismissive avoidant attachment style. So it's hard for you because you long to be with this person and you want to have an intimate relationship with them. But for some reason, they keep drawing back. They're not fully opened up to you. They don't let you in. They don't want to have tough conversations with you. They don't want to be clear regarding the direction that maybe they see your relationship going towards. Those are hard conversations for them to have. So I want you to realize that they are going through their own issues, right? Based off of the trauma that they experienced in their childhood. And I'm not saying that for you to tolerate those behaviors, but seeing it from that lens too, in perspective that they're going through something that's a traumatic event in their life, and now you're getting the results of that. So it's first wanting to know whether your partner recognizes that for themselves. Because as much as you may want to help fix them, help change, those things, want them to be more loving, more intimate, that'll never happen if they don't recognize that for themselves, if they don't recognize that they have a dismissive avoidant attachment style. So you may long to fix them, but you cannot fix someone. You cannot fix your partner. You cannot change your partner. So that's what I want you to know first. You cannot change your partner, but your partner has to be willing to want to change for themselves. And then that's where you can come in and be a support to them. But if you're in this relationship with the goal of changing them, that will not happen if they're not in a place of recognizing that. So A, you need to ask yourself, is this someone who's willing to recognize that they have this attachment style? And B, are they willing to work on it? If the answer to both of those questions are yes, then great, right? Then you can both work on it. But if the answer to both of those are no, now it becomes a question for you. Is this something you deserve? So yes, everyone will have a different traumatic event that happened in their life, but you also prioritize yourself and you know what you deserve. So it'd be one thing if they're willing to work on it, but if they're not, the question is, are you willing to keep tolerating that? Because you have to set boundaries for yourself as well. If not, it'll be mentally draining because you're not sure whether your partner is really fully in it or not. They don't want to have tough conversations. Now that leaves you feeling confused and just kind of alone. So you have to evaluate where they're at, on their journey as well, as much as you want to be with them, but they have to be willing to be accountable for the attachment style they have, the kind of actions they do, and be willing to change. And if not, you start asking yourself those questions. Is that something you deserve? Because you want to set a healthy boundary for yourself. So now let's say that you're someone who you're drawn to someone like that. And the reason that could be is because you've maybe experienced that yourself too. So you may both be drawn to each other because of that fondness of not feeling loved, not feeling validated when you were a child. So now you're kind of in a place of loneliness. So now because you're both kind of alone and feeling isolated, you're drawn to each other because you can relate because of that. So now when you come to that place where you're both relating based of not being completely whole on your own, you're now dependent on each other. And that can become toxic. It can become a toxic cycle where you want to be with each other, but you don't know how to. And sometimes it takes an external force to help break that cycle where you both get the help you need because you can't fix each other. You can't come into the relationship wanting to fix each other. And you will continue to attract that same partner until you work on healing yourself and your heart and those experiences you had as a child. If you don't fix those and work on those things and heal those things, which is a journey, you will continue to attract that kind of person who has that attachment style. And although you want a fulfilling relationship, you will not have that relationship because both of you will be scared to fully commit and it'll become toxic. So which category do you fall in? Are you the one who has the attachment style? Are you the partner in the attachment style? Or do both of you have that attachment style? So knowing where you fall in, it can help you determine whether A, I need to work on, some of these things because I have that attachment style, or B, my partner has that. Are they willing to work on it? Figure out what their triggers are. Am I willing to, be patient with them and have them work on that? Or is that they're not recognizing they have this issue and they're not wanting to change, and I need to start deciding whether that's something I want for myself and what boundaries do I need to set? Or are you both in that category where you're both seeking each other out because you both experience those, and you will keep in a dismissive attachment style because you haven't healed things you experienced as a child. So again, none of this is to say it, but it's to recognize that you have this attachment style or you know someone who does it. They're able to recognize that, heal from those past things, and be able to identify their triggers so it's no longer an issue in their life. It'll continue to repeat those patterns. So trauma will continue to reoccur until we're able to encounter it, face it, and no longer be a fear in our lives. And sometimes that requires an external force, whether that's going through therapy, counseling, to help you get grounded in who you are and we hit those. They're no longer a traumatic experience for you. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you were able to learn something about the avoidant attachment style and try some of those steps in your life. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. I would love to connect and be a support to you. So again, knowing this attachment style will help you determine whether you have that and that's something you need support in, whether your partner has that, and whether the state of your relationship is healthy, depending on if that attachment style is within your relationship. All right, so comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are and let me know if this is helpful to you. All right, thank you. And until next time, bye.